Greetings, Hotep, Hujambo, Ahlan, Sakpase, Niha, Konnichiwa, Bonjour. What's up, brothers and sisters? I hope you're doing well. This is your brother Shakandugu Kemet. As you can see written here, top left corner of your screen, the YouTube account. For those who just happen to stumble upon this live stream, it is Ma'at Forever, and you can see it here, right there, bottom left corner. And it's worth that you subscribe to this channel because you will learn a lot. Also, Twitter, there. How do I do this? There it is, there. Bottom right corner. Follow me on Twitter so you will know every time I'm going live. There's so many subscribers, about 16,000, so some people don't get the notification. Now we have some brothers already in the place to be. We have Prophet X in the place to be. He wrote Hotep, brother Hotep to you. We have Team Swahili Worldwide who wrote Mambo. Habari gani? Karibu. Asante for being here. As a matter of fact, earlier I was on the phone with a Kenyan brother who wants to do some private class. So there's one link that I share. That's the first link in the chat there. It says Dr. Obadele Kambo putting in work. And I was going to say, and she just arrived. It is the sister Alex Little who sent the link to me. So I'm sharing it with you. Usually, I don't share a video until I watched it entirely. But the brother's been putting in work for a long time. He's a PhD. I never heard him talking smart. So I'm quite confident that it's all good all through the end. I've reached the part where he's talking about the soil. Now, this is an African American brother. I knew of him from his website. I think it was called Abiti Kimisa. Well, it was a website to learn African languages. It was actually a website. It was a message board. There was the website indeed where they will provide lessons in different languages. But what was popping the most was the message board. Now, message board that might be unfamiliar to many of you. Team Swahili Worldwide wrote Karibu Kaka. Kaka means, I'm sorry, brother in Swahili. Ndugu is another word for brother, hence the Dugu in my name. Now in French, Kaka means something else, but hey, you can ask Haitians. They have the same word. The Haitian language, the Creole, Haitian Creole, has a lot of French in it. Just like the Swahili, or Kiswahili as they call it, have a lot of Arabic in it. I had started showing some words that are similar in Swahili and Arabic. Basically, Swahili words that derive from Arabic, but I've been quite busy. But this is something I'm planning to do later on, to show some words and so on. Now, I knew of that brother because he had a message board to learn African languages. But after a while, he relocated to Ghana. That's where he currently resides. He got his PhD, and he's teaching. He's also in charge of a journal. And it's so refreshing to hear a PhD talking about history using primary records. And not to toot my own horn, it's nice to hear him say a lot of things that I've been saying over the years. And on at least 2 occasions, I know that he was referring to some people who claim to have certain titles such as linguists, but I'm being diplomatic. I'm not going to say the dude's name. But it's a shame that someone will proclaim himself to be something that he is not. No degree, no diploma in that field, hence he is not. Someone might practice medicine, let's say a traditional way, using herbs, using plants, using fruits, vegetables. That doesn't make him a medical doctor. Where we are staying, where we are living in that part of the world and the West, you cannot practice medicine legally unless you have the proper diploma or degree. So it's a shame that the same people who talk about having methods and methodology are basically doing some fraudulent acts by, I could call it set tripping, but I could also call it false flagging, but basically claiming to be something that a person is not. It's a shame. I'm not even talking about the plagiarism. But anyway, Dr. Obadele Kambo has the degree, the diploma in linguistics. He is a linguist. Secondly, there is the meaning of the word kemet. He touches on that. And that's where I stop, and I'm planning on resuming. Now, regarding the private class to learn the Medunetta with yours truly. In the first video that I have uploaded, I have removed the parts that mentions $5 class for 5 people and the $10 for 4 classes for 10 participants, because it's leading to confusion, misunderstanding. That still stands, however, and I will explain what it is. So what you see is $10 for a private class, $10 per class. The response has been great. Oh, by the way, brothers and sisters, because I'm live streaming from my mobile phone, I cannot see the likes. So please hit that like button. And the response has been great for the Medunetta class. I've had people from many parts of different parts of the world who told me that they are down for it, but they're asking me obviously how it goes, how it works. And a lot of them think that there are some group of people who are already there willing to do the group classes. And really, I did not think about that. But now I have the opportunity to clarify that it's up to whoever's interested to find the participants. Now, for example, here in the chat, some of you know each other. Some of you know each other through the chat, through the channel. Some of you might have exchanged emails or maybe phone numbers later on. I remember there were 5 people who are willing to do the class. So if all of you get together and agree on a time slot, then just one of them can holler at me and say, look, we are 5. We'd like to have a class on that day, and we make it happen. But I cannot. I will not have enough time to look for different people who are willing to be part of a group. Now, the easiest way maybe would be that you happen to know 4 people who want to learn the Medunetta. So including yourselves, that's 5, and there it goes. And it's the same for the group of 10. It's better value for money because $10 each, and that gives you 4 classes. But then again, you will have to know or find the 10 people. Here, maybe you can find, if one of you is interested, if you happen to find an additional 9, then there it is. So in the meantime, just like I cannot find 5 people and ask each of them what their schedules are, because there's so many emails I've been sent that I'm replying to. Can you imagine if it was for 5 people or for 10 people? So in the meantime, if you're interested in a one-on-one class, then holler at me. You have my email address. You have the link that says private class, and there you will find the email address. Then feel free to send your number or ask me for my number, and I'll give it to you so you can contact me through WhatsApp. This way we can talk directly or even do video calls. But the private class will not be done through WhatsApp or Skype or Hangout. It will be done just like the normal live stream, but it will be private. Some of you might have seen yesterday, I had a class scheduled. Some of you might have seen a private class with so-and-so, but I was just setting up the thing. I wasn't about to have our private class broadcasted publicly. No. Whenever there will be a class, for that matter, whether it's one-on-one or 5 or 10, it will be private. Other people will not be able to see it. I was just setting up, make sure that everything works and so on. So don't even trip, don't even worry about that. So you don't need any software. Many of you have not, oh, yeah, I've shared the invite link, but let me share it just in case somebody wants to come in. Let me share it. Well, from now on, I guess I will call it invite link rather than say calling link. I'm so used to say calling number. That goes from the time when I used to do radio broadcast. The invite link is there. So you will receive a link. All you have to do is click on it. You only need, obviously, an internet connection and a smartphone or a personal computer or a PC. Doesn't matter if it's Windows or Mac or Linux or whatever that is. As long as you have an internet connection, you can have a smartphone, you can have an iPad or whatever it is that uses the internet, and we're good to go. I will be able to share my screen, show you the menu. We'll be able to communicate, and as long as you can talk with me, that's fine. If you have a webcam, that's even better. All right. So if you have any questions about the class, the private class, one-on-one class, then feel free to ask. Feel free to ask, really. Now, remember to have a look at that video that I have shared. It's interesting. And I was thinking about a few things. There's many times I want to address some topics, but then I change my mind. I'm thinking, oh, it happens many times. Many, many, many times. And I was thinking about tribalism. Because some people, and I think I touched on that some while back. Some people feel like, well, in Africa you have tribalism, and it's real tight. If you're not from the tribe, then it's thorough, it's dangerous, it's tricky. Alexito wrote that video, is amazing. It is. I'm not even halfway through. And once again, it's so refreshing because we are so used to people talking smack, talking nonsense, or making bold claims or claims that are never substantiated. Never substantiated. As a matter of fact, there's a sister who sent an email to me about someone making a claim. The sister asked him for evidence, for source. And that person just gave names of authors, names of scholars, and the name of one book, I think, maybe a couple of books, but that's what a lot of people love to do. And it's good because that's a reference. However, when we deal with ancient history, what matters the most is indeed the primary record. And that's where we are lucky. But it's very refreshing. Because it's so sad, I'm telling you, People have been so disrespectful towards Kemet. It's insane. They don't say anything when individuals claim that Africans are living in a jungle life, that Africans are not civilized, that black people are cursed. They are quiet, these dumb suckers. But for a strange reason, they want to vilify Kemet. And really, the reason is not strange. The reason is not unknown. Once again, it's a numbers game. Kemetic people are a minority. So because they are cowards, they love to pick on Kemetic people. But they can do their thing. The future generation will see. The future generation will see who was done and who was not. For once, we have a culture that we know was ruled, or I'm sorry, an empire we know was ruled by Black African people, a culture that was brought forth by those Black African people, a very successful culture, long-lasting empire, 3,000 years, that can be used as an example or a model, whether people want or not. If they don't want to follow it or use it as an inspiration or model or example, it's up to them. It's on them, that's fine. But they want to use foreign models, people who were not us, and people who actually disliked us, enslaved us, disrespected us. Come on now. But in due time, hopefully, there will be more and more clarity. So back to the tribalism. You have people, and tribalism, by the way, it's not specific to Africa, for those who didn't know. You have many different countries where they have tribes or ethnic groups. You have Asian countries like that. So you have a group of people who share a common language, a common culture, way of having marriages, same rituals, same ceremonies, same for burials, eating habits, clothing, and so on. Well, it might be simplistic in terms of comparison, but even in the West, and for example, in America, we're not far off. You will have some people who are from a different place. Everybody speaks the same language, but there's some jargon. There are some particular words that are used more in certain places than others. There's eating habits, way of dressing, and sometimes people do set trip. But further than just the location and the eating habits, the vocabulary, and the way of dressing, we have the issue of philosophy or doctrine or religion. So people who consider themselves to be Hebrew Israelites, for example, people who consider themselves to be Asiatic black men, for example, they could be seen as two distinct tribes. Tribalism usually has a negative connotation, but it's not necessarily negative. Just like the word criticism, it has a negative connotation. But to critique is merely to give an opinion about something. But because of the negative connotation, and many times it is to, we say criticize, but well, you know what it is anyway. I don't need to dwell on that. So that's one thing about the tribalism. Because sometimes I hear people or I see people leaving comments and saying, well, yeah, you guys talking about Africa and all that, but, you know, they don't consider themselves Africans. They go by their tribes. Yes, they go by their tribes. It doesn't mean that they don't consider themselves African. I get the point, however. But people who write that, they want to make people think that if you go to Africa and you're like, oh, what's up, my African brothers and sisters, they be like, man, if you ain't from our tribe, then we don't mess with you. It's not like that. Now, for someone to prefer to associate with people who speak the same language and dress like him and eat like him, it's not a sin, is it? It's just what they are used to. And besides the same language, the same eating habits, the same dressing habits, there's mainly the same spirituality or religion. And when people are on the same page, then usually they manage to achieve many accomplishments. We look at Black people in the West, we don't achieve so much because we have so many different philosophies and doctrines. And usually people say we are arguing about our philosophies and doctrines, but the reality is that when it comes down to it and we want the facts, then the majority of Black people in the West brings us theology, not to say fairy tales and fictional stories, but unattested accounts of theology that they are trying to pass off as history. And they go as far as claiming birthright. Remember the brother Nick Canaan? See what that got him? And he's sad. I'm not rejoicing once again. But that Asiatic Black man falsehood had him losing 2 jobs instantly, or at least one. While the knot was popping, and it's been popping for years. So no wonder sometimes that they like to talk down on Kemetic people, because you could call it an advantage, but we have plenty of records. Do you realize, brothers and sisters, that I go through some artifacts, and usually I've been saying it, when it's a late period, I don't really dwell on it. And the late period, that will be starting from 600 BC. Can you imagine? So basically, when I'm in the museum and I see something and it's 400 BC, I'm like, well, okay, that's late period. That's recent. That's recent. Before the 1st century, those people struggle to substantiate their accounts. 400 BC, foreigners already ruled Kemet. So the seed has joined us. Morning, sister. Heru Nefer. That's good morning in Medjugorje. Heru also stands for day. You have homonyms, words that sound alike, but they are not necessarily written the same way. So the seed wrote, Eurocentrism is the reason. Well, Eurocentrism, our people are down with this belief system, brought forth, established by Europeans for the most part, at least in recent time. But our people who are into this belief system claim that it's some ancient African / Asiatic philosophies. So the seed wrote, but all religion follow Ma'at versus Isefet. Now, Isefet, because so the seed knows a little some. Isefet, that's evil. That's evil. So the people from Kemet, they were striving to do good, to follow Ma'at, justice, truth, order, equality or balance, and so on, and not do Isefet or Isfet. That was a key element of the culture to do good. Hence, the judgment to go to the afterlife. So the seed wrote, only Taoism with the combination of the chi is even close to my eye. So the seed wrote, I've been reading everything you suggested. I'm honored. So the seed wrote, I only know because you in here giving away college level information. Your channel is just like college. Thank you. Dua. I'm honored. I'm honored. So brothers and sisters, we will learn together. We will share together. We will grow together. And hopefully we will progress and take things to the next level. It is possible. It might take time, but it is possible. Without the fence riders are a huge problem. They claim to be down with you and they are not. They slow you down. They sabotage. Some people are just lame and they claim to be thorough. So you have one dude who's talking about Egyptomaniacs, and I will be diplomatic and not say his name, but see, first I thought that he knew a little something. I thought he had some sense of logic, but the more I hear him, the more it sounds foolish to me. But that's how it is sometimes. Some people are either articulate or try to be articulate, try to appear to be articulate, but when you hear the logic, it's just whack. It's just whack. So it's just a shame. And they don't want to grow. They don't want to learn. They keep saying things, making claims. But it is what it is. It is what it is. In due time, they will get served. In due time, they will get served. Dude almost got served, but he was lucky that some natural situation, well, natural or not, some situation, some sanitary situation had put some things on hold. But it's amazing to me that some people are just more or less lame, but they claim to be thorough. But it's not something new, however. It's not something new, however. But to all those who disrespect the Kemetic people, who are being extremely unfair and biased, they never criticize people from the other belief system, or if they do it very mildly, very lightly. But when it comes to Kemet, they do it on a consistent basis and they do it strongly, harshly, strongly. It's all good. There will come a time where you will not be able to do that the way it is done now. And it's not on some threatening stuff like physical harm or anything like that. That's not what I'm about. But you will just be clowned when you will do that. One of the worst thing ever in recent times was this use of the term Hotep N-word, thanks to the Asiatic of different influences, or I'm sorry, of different persuasions. That was one of the worst thing ever. You have those people who follow doctrine that says that black people are cursed, and they want to talk, oh, this is a Hotep N-word. If you follow a doctrine that says that black people are cursed and you are black, you whack. If you support anti-black and you're black, you whack. Do you see Chinese people with philosophies that's anti-Chinese? Do you see white people with philosophies that are anti-white? For the most part, you don't. But you have those people with doctrines that are disrespectful towards Africans, towards black people, and they claim to be thorough. No, that has to stop. So the seed wrote. And one thing is that pharaohs had to show they were worthy. There was a line that said the king was supposed to fit the burdens of the poor, sounding like cast all your burdens on me from the Bible. We are lucky. We have the evidence, we have the record, we have the language. Now, of course, some people claim the language has not been deciphered. Oh boy. All the Egyptologists in the world, all the linguists in the world who talk about ancient Egyptian hieroglyphic, they are wrong. But one dude in 1992 wrote a book, and over 2 pages he explained why he feels the Medinata has not been deciphered, and he is right. It reminds me of a meme that you might have seen already. You have a painting or maybe a picture of some tribesmen, and he says something to the effect of, all the scientists in the world got it wrong, but some illiterate tribes in the Middle East, they figured everything right. Alexito wrote, Dr. Clark noted Japanese men are not seen without their women. Japanese people are very, very patriotic, and it is usually said that they are xenophobic. Maybe that would not be the word, but they don't mess around with their culture. And I'm not saying that we should do like such and such people, but it is what it is. But really, brothers and sisters, over the years, we have seen, it's documented how we have doctrine from Black people who actually claim to be down for Black people. It's not just the average Black Uncle Tom or Black sellout who doesn't want anything to do with Black people, or who just wants to be down with everybody. Like the kind of people who defend the Confederate flag, the kind of people who will go as far as fighting with the police in order to destroy or deteriorate, if that's the proper word, to deface Black Lives Matter inscriptions. I'm not talking about that kind of people. I'm talking people who claim to be down for Black people, and they teach that Black means death, that Africans are living a jungle life, that Africans are not civilized, and that we are cursed by God. Asante, ndugu, karibu. So, is there any other group of people on the planet Earth besides Black people who have anti-Black / anti-African teachings? I'm not aware of that. I am not aware of that. Do you know any, brothers and sisters? To my knowledge, Black people are the only people who have teachings that are anti-Black. Now, some people might say, oh, it's not anti-Black. To say that Black means death, to say that Black people are cursed because they rebelled against God and they were marked, they were disfigured. Some people will claim that it's supreme wisdom. They call it supreme wisdom. But it is what it is, man. People like to follow. So the seed wrote, every theologist looked at Kemet as if they were not smart. It's down to the Abrahamic belief system. But the record, the evidence will help us to have clarity. There are numerous. Inspired One often says we're dealing with billion-dollar industries altogether, just like the hair industry. One of the greatest tragedy ever for Black people. I recommend that you watch the documentary made by Chris Rock entitled Good Hair. And I knew it was probably like millions of dollars industry, but I never knew it was a billion-dollar industry. That I was unaware of. So Black woman, and I think that's for America alone, that is $1 billion a year industry. Black women make foreign people extremely wealthy by wearing fake hair or other people's hair. And for those who have not seen the documentary, the irony of it is that they have a festival or ritual, call it what you want, in the East, in India, if I'm not mistaken, where they shave their head. The women shave their head, women of all different age. So those women do that and they don't receive anything. That's their culture. That's their religion or belief. So they do it. Their parents did it. Their grandparents did it. Now, I'm not sure if the male do it as well. They might do as well. But we're talking about, obviously, we don't have dudes running around, putting fake hair on their head and all that. But well, we might do, but it's a very small minority. But anyway, we have some smart ones who actually go and collect the hair that they got for free of charge, and is sent to the West. It might be prepared or transformed, as some would say, and it's sold in the West, and they're making $1 billion. In that documentary, once again called Good Hair, we have a scene where an Asian man is walking in the street with a suitcase that is not that large, and he says in that suitcase there's about like I don't remember the exact amount, but just for the sake of example, he says something like in that suitcase there's about like $10,000 worth of hair. Now maybe he said $5,000. I can't remember really. I've watched a documentary. It was like 2012. So that was 8 years ago. But just him walking around with a suitcase going to different hair shop, he has like so much, like maybe $10,000, $5,000 worth of hair. Can you imagine? Just with hair alone. So Black women will have the opportunity to start a revolution economically if they stop using foreign people's hair. Of course, it's easier said than done. Of course, when you have habits, it's difficult to let go of those habits. But that's one of the area where success will be achieved almost instantaneously. So the fact of women going natural with their hair is not only an issue of beauty standard and self-worth and so on, not only a matter of appearance, but also it's a matter of economic liberation, to strive economically. Now that's one area. Don't take me as someone who wants to pick on women. All right. For those who know me, I talk about whatever's wrong, whatever's right, whether it's male or female. You know I'm not simping. I hope you do. Some knew me recently. So I'm not simping. I'm not butt kissing women. But on the same note, at the same time, I'm not picking on women. That's not my style. When brothers mess up, I say clearly. And as a matter of fact, over the years, was mainly brothers who attack me and disrespect me and talk smack and all that. But that's not the point. When it comes to being healthy, there's the nutrition, and indeed, keep the comments going. I will go through them, brothers and sisters. Keep the comments going, all right? And if you have questions, ask your questions. I have about an hour to go before I go back to work. So when it comes to being healthy, of course, there's a eating habit. Okay. Alexito has to bounce. Thank you for being there, sister. Alcohol, drug of all kinds. including weed. Now, some people don't buy it, they grow it. Okay, you don't waste money. Alcohol, tobacco alone, alcohol and drug. Not only you will be healthier by not consuming those things, but you will save money. Try to better yourself as much as possible. Nobody's perfect. That's fine. We're all gonna die one day. That's fine. But try to better yourself. You can make progress, at least for yourself and for your loved ones. If you don't have any family and you go, well, but even if you don't have offsprings, if you have family members, they will mourn your loss. But for those who have children, when you're not healthy and you have a disease or ailment, you are more likely to go if you have bad eating habits. So the tobacco industry is huge. The industry of alcohol is huge as well. And throughout movies and songs, consuming alcohol is celebrated, highlighted. I lived in England. And in England, the women drink more than men in France. In England, if you don't drink, it's like you can't have fun. Many times when I would tell people that I don't drink, I was asked, but how do you have fun? Now in England, just like in America, they have one-night stands. But in England, usually they don't even remember not just what happened, but who it happened with. But anyway, I'm going to go through the comments, man. I'm going to go through the comments. So the seed wrote, the crazy part is the Bible itself warns against the theologians that they hid the truth even back then. Tanisha B wrote, what is the first video we should watch to gain knowledge? If you scroll up to the comments, you will see it. It is Dr. Obadele Combo, but to find the proper video, or the video that I'm talking about, you need to go up. The link is there. Because I'm pretty sure you will find several videos of him. All right. If I could share it right now, I will do so, but I'm live streaming from my mobile phone and I can't. So the seed wrote. Now I'm skipping I'm skipping a few comments. Just don't be offended by that. Actually, the Chinese are the biggest buyers of Indian hair. Europe and America are neck to neck in purchasing hair than Africa. I was not aware of that. Team Swahili Worldwide wrote, I left annual orientation after reading the minister's description of the Shabazz myth. You mean that video, that 3-minute video where it talks about, so Shabazz took his people to the jungles of East Asia that we now call Africa to make a people closer to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us is the origin of kinky hair. We didn't have kinky hair prior to that. Are you talking about this video? So how long ago was it that you came across this video and that you left the myth? Now, So the Seed wrote, yes, I was in the beauty industry. It's like a drug. And just like alcohol is so much advertised and celebrated, well, the standard of beauty with the different hair and stuff like that, many times people make fun about the natural hair. Natural hair basically is unkept hair or hair undone. The singer Lil Mo, very talented, she has that song called Yeah, or maybe Yeah, 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 Yeah 3 times. I like that song. That was actually the main video that you will see on that part of my website that was called Black Musics, when you had all different music videos. And in the lyrics, she says, "Remember the first time you saw me with my hair undone? I thought that I would die." And there's the scene where she's like embarrassed. So sometimes when women are a certain age, or ironically, when they have children, they decide to stop, or they decide that they will not, that their children, their daughter, go the same route. And that's good. Never better late than never. So the women cannot let that go. You know, some black women will not wear their hair all at all and claim wigs are perceived style, but never wear their own hair. And I'm a hairstylist. And that's a sensitive issue because many black women earn a lot of money also with the fake hair, but it's not just the fake hair. Some women just go and have their hair done. There are many different styles that can be done. Just like drugs. If we want our communities to be better, then we have to find a way of not being flooded with drugs. But for drug dealers, that's a problem. And we could become a target. That's dangerous because that's their bread, that's their livelihood. That's how they eat, that's how they make money. It's not impossible. The original Black Panther Party, some of them used to rob drug dealers and keep drug dealers away. So some alternatives are needed in order for people to eat. There should be some solutions. It's always easier said than done, but it's not impossible. Denisha wrote, Denisha, you must be Jamaican. Wagwan, what happened? I'm guessing, I might be wrong, but sounds like a Jamaican name. She wrote, it's weird how I made the choice to become celibate and now I don't care for hair or weed. I'm glad you don't care for weed. Now, so the city wrote biggest money snatchers for African American cigarettes and alcohol. Oh, and charity in America is another place African American dollars go. But I'm sure charity is actually church. Denisha wrote, friends look at you weird when you say no to liquor in the club. Well, I know what it's like. I went out. I went to some clubs and all that. And indeed, you're like the boring one when you don't drink. But it is what it is. So eventually, I ended up going less to the club. Because it's not only the issue of your friends drinking, but sometimes they behave in some way that you cannot co-sign. But there's other ways to have fun and going to the club, but people have the right to have fun. They can do them, they can do, you know, they can have some good time. And friendship is important. We grow, we work, we have families, we have children, we have responsibilities, we have expenses. And sometimes it's good to have fun, particularly with friends, people that we know that can relate to us. And many times that's the only place where we can see them, a club or a bar, sometimes restaurants. But that's a key difference with those people who have a Abrahamic belief system. They have places where they meet on a regular basis. So they don't have to meet in the bar or in the club or in the restaurant. When I used to teach Nature in France, we will meet in a library that happened to be a Black-owned library, and we will eat there. Initially, it was supposed to start like it was supposed to last like 3 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours, because it was Meduleta lessons, Swahili lessons, and then talking about history in general, and then talking about current events, just talking to ourselves. So like-minded people, non-Abrahamic people could meet. And most of the time, we will go over the time. And it was like that so much that the owner, who trusted me, used to give me the key, the spare key, and he would tell me, when you finish, just lock the door and put the key through the letterbox. So he will leave, because we'll finish so late that will be closing time. Actually, we will finish so late that I will end up having to take night buses, because the train in Paris, they will go up to like 12:30, 1 a.m., and then that's it. So I could get to a certain point, and then to go home. Back then, in the Paris outskirts, no more trains, so I will have to take a night bus. But it was such a nice feeling to be with non-Abrahamic people, like-minded people. So we will finish so late at the library that the library will close. Then we will walk to the train station, talk on the way, talk in front of the train station, because other people will go home walking or go to different bus stops or train station. So even at that place, after we spend so many hours, we'll be talking for so long in front of the train station, maybe an hour or so. Then eventually we'll go home. We will bring food. So when we will just have some break time in between the lessons and the usual talk, we will be eating. And that kind of thing is achievable if you have enough like-minded people. African Science has joined us. 1 second, brothers and sisters. I just want to check something. Okay. You're welcome, Tanisha. Team Swahili Worldwide wrote, congrats, I'm abstaining too. We are storing up energy. African Science wrote, alcohol does increase endorphins, but indeed abuse is a problem. So the seed wrote, I rock a huge afro now, and white people stare like they are in a trance, never wearing someone else's DNA in my head again. Great. I see why they made a law in America that Black women had to cover their hair, an actual law, and it just stuck from generation to generation to cover our hair. Team Swahili Worldwide wrote, I read it in their orientation book last year. The book is entitled The Restrictive Law of Islam is Our Success. Okay. By any chance, if you have that book still, is there any way? Oh, it's probably a physical book. But if by any chance you will have that book, if you could take a picture of the pages where it talks about the curse of Black people, if there are not too many pages, if it's no trouble, if you could take a picture of those pages and send them to me, you can send them to KM. I'll tell the address. Oh, hold on. Yeah. KMT SHAKA at msn.com. If you do still have that book, and if it's no trouble, Now, let me go through the comments. Now, Tanisha, okay, yes, sow the seed. Sow the seed wrote, I went vegan too. Watch Laila Africa as you suggested, and he suggested a book called The Power of Melanin. I sent the PDF version of the book through your last live chat. Okay. Lovely Ja Azul wrote, what's the best way to learn French? Immersion is the best way, but French is my mother tongue, so since I have to pay the bills, if anybody wants some private lessons, then it will be just like the Medunecha. It will be $10 per class. So the seed, indeed, you're right. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button, hit that like button, brothers and sisters. Well, I went through all the comments now. So now I have some time though. I have 50 minutes left, but I've been live streaming for 59 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm doing the last call. If someone wants to join the conversation, then if not, I guess I will call it a day. Plus, that will give me the opportunity to call a brother who's interested with the private Medunecha class. But if someone wants to call in, and he's more than welcome. So this is the link. Hold on. This is the invite link. And for the record, the Medunecha class will be done with my computer, not my mobile phone. So I'll be definitely comfortable with both hands, not having to be too long to explain, but you have that phone holder. So when you have the virtual keyboard, that's why I took it off earlier. So African Science World, do you follow League One? I don't even know what League One is. The only league I hear about is Soccer League. Because people talk about it all the time. Now, I don't follow soccer myself. I could walk the street and see the most famous players in the world. Some of their names I hear because people really love soccer so much in Europe, particularly in France and in England. Where I was living for a while, it's like a religion. But I would not recognize those players. But what does Shaka mean? That's Tanisha was asking. But that's a Zulu name. Now people say it has something to do with the heavens, but I'll prefer to ask a Zulu speaker. But I chose the name after the King Chaka Zulu. Now, Tanisha wrote Kadisha Buchanan. I don't know why you wrote that, but let us know. African Science wrote, that's what I meant, soccer. Well, I'm the wrong one to ask about soccer. Now, so the seed wrote, reading Mulana Karenga's book on Ma'at. Well, if y'all don't know what I think about Karenga, him torturing black women and making up Kwanzaa by plagiarizing Hanukkah, that's my stance. So I could never rock with someone who tortured black women. And I guess some people would say everybody makes a mistake. And that was a long time ago. I was about to say some people might say he didn't kill them. When even when people got killed, it's like it was all good in the hood. And I think you have an idea what I'm talking about. But besides that, mistreatment of black women, Kwanzaa is not our culture. Doesn't have anything to do with that. So to see, you're not aware? You didn't know about Karenga torturing black women? I thought you knew. Okay, I'm not even sure if it's on my website, but if you go on my website, if you go at the bottom of the page, I think you will see Kwanzaa. But the article was written by Dr. Mukasa Africa, who earned his PhD a few years ago. When he wrote the article, he did not have his PhD yet. And okay, so the seed wrote, no, I didn't know that. Okay. And so the seed wrote, that's why we told you in the live chat to write a book. We need books to read when you're not on live. You know, sister, I appreciate that. But it's far too early for me to even consider writing a book for many reasons. The following is not large enough. The support is not large enough. Now, the title is called Molana Karenga's Hunting Ghost. So if anybody type it in the search engine, the article will show up. Not only he tortured black women, but he was apparently, some people will say allegedly, but it was apparently against the Panthers. And he was maybe an agent. Some people who are close to him said that he was a government agent. But I know some people like to say, oh, that was back then, that was back in the days, I was lost and confused. He was a leader of a black organization. It's not like Malcolm, because before he got to join a black organization and he was doing his thing. And as a matter of fact, Malcolm X is crazy how some people raped women in France, for example, and then people say, oh, but you know, we all make mistakes. Malcolm X made mistakes. Malcolm X, I never heard of Malcolm X raping women. But anyway, somebody might confirm. This is the website address. If somebody wants to type in afrostyly.com, and you can add the /English, or you can just type, as you see on the top left corner, you have the menu. You click on English just underneath home, and then if you scroll to the bottom of the page, I'm pretty sure that it will say Kwanzaa somewhere. And you will have the article. And for those who know Dale Jones, I have uploaded a video of Dale Jones saying that bottles were inserted in those women's vaginas. That's why many times I mentioned the issue of possible rape, not just torture, but possible rape. And we have some so-called African-centered people today who defend and support Karenga/Kwanzaa, which is a fraud, nothing to do with black culture. Then you have Molefe Asante, who talks about, well, people say that Kwanzaa was created, but all holidays are created, all holidays are man-made, and so on. What a logic. See, he wrote in honor of Karenga instead of having integrity and saying, well, you know, that was cool, that wasn't cool, sorry. And once again, besides the issue of torture and stuff like that, that's why he went to jail for, by the way. Now, some people are slick and say this COINTELPRO, this is COINTELPRO. They accuse him. That's what they used to do. Let's leave it aside because it's very convenient to say that. Just like it's convenient to say it was the CIA, it was the FBI, it was the US government who killed Malcolm X. Yes, okay. Let's leave that aside. Some holiday plagiarized from Hanukkah, the Jewish holiday Hanukkah. This is what they plagiarized to come up with Kwanzaa. The Jewish people have that chandelier. Karenga merely took that chandelier and added the red, black, and green. It's in the same period of the year, towards the Christmas period. It's the same symbolism. They only put red, black, and green. So if we didn't know, cool. Now that we know, we should have integrity and we should stop celebrating that holiday. But someone like Molefe Asante and others, because they wrote in honor of that holiday, They don't want to have integrity. So Molefe Asante went as far as labeling Mukasa Africa an agent provocateur. Can you believe that? So basically, the dude who plagiarized a holiday, a Jewish holiday, to pass it off as a black holiday, he's being defended by so-called African-centered conscious people, PhD, and he's not the only one. And someone who speaks out against some fraud, he's labeled the agent provocateur, even though we have people who were close to Karenga who said that he was an agent. So basically, you can torture black women, have bottles inserted in their vagina, allegedly, but you can torture black women, be on the government's payroll or not, let's say allegedly, but to cut the chase, basically you can torture black women, plagiarize a holiday, you will be celebrated amongst the so-called conscious community, African-centered, and so on, community. And if someone speaks out about that, oh, that's an agent provocateur. That's the world upside down. Team Swahili Worldwide, thank you very much. He emailed you the pages. Thank you very much. Now, Sow the Seed wrote, I don't see it. Is it in the first page of your website? You know what, brothers and sisters? Let's substantiate what I say. Let me look for it. I won't be long. I'm back. It's actually on my website, in the French part of the website, because I've translated most of the articles. So I'm about to share the article right now. Hold on. Hold on. Comments. What's going on now? Okay, I've shared it. It's in the chat. African Science wrote, Karenga wrong for the torture of black women, but I have no issue with people doing Kwanzaa even knowing it's a copy. In this case, we should not have any issue with people being in other Abrahamic belief system. We should deal with something that's our culture primarily. And it's not good. Being a copy, that's one thing. If he says, look, I copied Hanukkah, and this is what I'm presenting to you, I have adapted a black holiday, being inspired by the Jewish holiday, that's fine. But to try to pass it off as something originally African, that's not good. It's the same as people who say, I'm a linguist, when they are not. They don't have any degree or diploma in linguistics. It's like I'm coming up and I'm saying an Egyptologist. I am not. I don't have the degree or the diploma. You understand what I'm saying? So fraud is fraud. Fraud is fraud. It's not just an issue of just copying. But anyway, in the chat I have written, you're welcome, so to seed. Kwanzaa fraud. Karenga tortured. I wanted to write some black woman, but I made a mistake. He says soul black woman. So Karenga tortured some black woman, and then you have the link. So since it's been an hour and 13 minutes and nobody called in, what a good way to end this broadcast. So everybody can just go now and read that link. So please do not defend fraud. Do not defend fraud. Please. No need to pick and choose. All right, brothers and sisters. So I will see if I can reach that brother who's interested in the private class, and feel free to holler at me. Before I leave, brothers and sisters, hit the like button. For those who want to support, the link is there. PayPal me, paypal.me/ma'at4ever. And remember to share the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. And if you have not seen it, well, by all means, you're slipping. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will definitely holler back at you later. Hotel.